Paycor knows HR teams are under pressure to recruit and retain top talent. You need more than HR tech. You need expertise at the core. Meet Paycor. Our technology saves you time. Our expertise helps you make a difference. Paycor.com/meetpaycor.
Hello, Wildcats. It's your boy Kev coming at you like another warm welcome at the old Camp Hope for all them fat kids. Let me get a hiya. And just want to say thank you to everyone for listening and giving the podcast a chance. This is a quick disclaimer, though, before we start, letting you know that we are a comedy and crime podcast. So even though we cover serious cases and true events, we do like to throw in inappropriate jokes and dark humor. So if you're easily offended and you don't like to mix comedy and crime, then please don't listen to this and then send us angry emails. Because yeah, we're kind of jerks sometimes with some of the jokes we make. But if you're going to go into this knowing exactly what it is and then complain about it later, then that makes you a bigger jerk. And when it comes to the final battle with humans and robots, guess what? I'm going to fucking betray your ass and join the robots only because I don't like you. Not because I want the robots to win, but just in spite because I think you're a turd sandwich. And for all you other listeners out there, all you riders on a mission, you action kids in play position, just action kids in, fun condition, just prepare to count down rocket power. Hashtag Wildman. Be good, stay safe, laugh at the dark stuff. Hashtag Wildman.
All right, fellas, like we practiced.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Come on down. Come on down. Hanging with the brothers tonight, yeah. Come on down to the Brothers Commonplace tonight.
Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Brothers Commonplace, a comedy and crime podcast where we cover monsters, murders, mysteries, and more. And before we jump into today's topic, I want y'all to say hello to my pretty good cran kids.
Love that. What's going on, guys? This is Tim. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I actually got a new job. I was kind of busy doing that. Became a chimney sweeper, and it was cool. I actually got really good at it, and by the end, they were calling me the American Dream Dusty Clothes.
Fuck yeah.
Shit,
So I really appreciated that.
yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is one of the craziest crayons in the box.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I'm a 1950s crayon, so they just call me Redskin Red.
And it's your boy Kev, aka the Dirty Dog, and I just want to give two very big welcome backs. The first being, of course, Timmy P.
What's up, guys?
We missed you last week, Primo.
Hey, thanks. I miss you guys, too.
It's good to have you
It
back.
wasn't the same, man.
It was not. And then most importantly, the most important welcome all, there is Jesse Smollett. We're so glad that you're back in the community. It's
Thank goodness.
we missed you. I'm just glad that I now know that God is real and he does answer prayers. And apparently trying to incite a race war and, faking hate crimes. I guess that's cool now. I guess we're just allowed to do that.
Yeah, well, that sucks that Charles Manson was born in a different, generation, because, he would have done really good right now.
So just two things real quick. One, apology to Charles Manson. And two, my weekend's about to get a whole lot better. Weekend plans are changing, baby.
Oh, fuck yes.
Oh, man. We just apologized to Charles Manson. I quit.
I think the real reason that I hate Jesse Smollett is because he stole the nickname I was about to use, the gay Tupac. So I guess since he's back, I guess he's the rightful owner of that nickname, and I'll have to think of a new one now. So
Well, everything changes.
yeah, dude. We need to start changing the way we eat, the way we live, the way we fake hate crimes,
Oh, my God.
the way we get those two Nigerian guys to beat me up. So, alrighty, I hope all you Wildcats and dogs are ready to jump into another murder mystery with your favorite brother boys. This time, we are heading down south, past the navel, and way below the waistline.
Oh, hell yeah.
Today, we jump into the mysterious case of the Sims family murders in Tallahassee, Florida.
The Sims Murders?
Yeah.
I've been playing that video game this fucking long.
Dude, no, it's funny. On all the Reddit posts about this case, the first comment, the highest one, is always like, yeah, if you just remove the ladders from the pools, they'll all die. Like, it's all jokes. Like, even though it's in, like, unsolved murders, that subreddit. It still jokes about The Sims.
That's so fucking funny.
So, and I know we've been covering a lot of mysteries lately, so next week we'll make sure to change it up. It's not going to be a mystery, it'll be something else.
We're gonna do Polybius.
We've done that, yeah.
Oh well, shit.
We'll do whoever made the Total Recall remake because he's the true monster.
Fuck yeah, he is.
He is.
Dude, you know what I saw on Reddit today that was pretty interesting? I don't know if you saw it, Spence. They're talking about the guy who recorded the Rodney King beatings.
Okay.
He actually was there because they were supposed to be filming something for the Terminator 2 arcade game.
Oh my god.
And that's what he was there to record, but he caught the beatings there instead. Yeah, I guess I might as well mention it. We have a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode for a reason. Like, I don't want to get into it details or anything, but if you know that you don't like whenever there's comedy with true crime mixed into an episode, like, that's why we give you a heads up. So you know you're not going to like it. Just don't listen to it and then send us angry emails later about it. Just, you're not getting forced to listen. All you have to do is shut it off. It's like if you hate adult language and then you go to the movies and you go to see a rated R movie and the ticket guy is like, oh, just a heads up, there's adult language in this. And then you go into the movie, and then as soon as you hear curse words, you go storming out, demanding your money back. And like, I know we're assholes for the stuff we joke about, but if you're gonna complain, then you're just as big an asshole.
I completely agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can stop us or fast forward or pause, unlike the fucking "you wouldn't steal a car" ads on DVDs that they made you watch.
Yeah, you can't fucking skip
Dude,
that shit.
You know they got sued for using copyrighted music that they didn't get permission
for. Oh my god,
for.
yes.
Yeah.
The copyright thing got fucking
so
sued
happy.
for copyright. That's amazing.
Sorry.
I love the IT crowd spoof of that too.
Oh yeah, dude. IT crowd is so fucking good.
Yeah.
It is.
Watch the IT crowd. It's one of the best things that Britain's ever made.
I've seen maybe 2 episodes and I love it.
Dude, watch them all. They're good. I recently just watched them all again. But before we jump into the Sims family murder case, let's do a quick little heads up chat on where it all took place. Tallahassee, Florida.
I thought it was in Texas.
No, that's the last time. I'm sorry. You're making a joke.
That's an office joke.
Okay.
Wait, she's like Tallahassee. Where's that? And Michael's like, we know Texas.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I was thinking because you weren't here for last week's and that one was in Texas. I got it. Hey Jim, you should have fucked that girl down in Florida. Pam she would have never found out. Plus, she had Brian, the sound guy, aka the dumbest storyline in the office.
It was fucking horrible.
So
was that like season 8 shit?
Yeah,
I think that was season 9.
Was it 9? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's all
Yeah, I mean
garbage.
season 8 was bad, but it wasn't as bad as season 9.
So when I first started my research, I typed Tallahassee into Google, and the very first thing that popped up was Tallahassee man charged with rape of a girl, and the guy looked 100% like the wrestler Meng. So far it was off to a very bad start. So let's just move past that.
Hashtag like reverse Wildman.
Yeah, God, he really looked just like Meng.
Tame man.
Yeah, I like that one.
So here we go. Tallahassee, it is the capital of Florida, in case you guys didn't know that.
What?
In our case, it takes place in 1966, and the population there was 48,000 in 1960, and then it was 72,000 in 1970. So those are the only details I could find, so it's somewhere between there, probably closer to 70,000.
Gotcha.
And in the documentary that I watched, they all agree that during the 60s, and despite it being the state capital, everyone still referred to it as a small town that was transitioning into more of a cosmopolitan town or like a bigger town. But yeah, back then they all referred to it as like a small city, a small town.
Doesn't really sound like one though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tallahassee, like all the buildings are tall because there's so many people. They need taller buildings to fit them all.
Oh, what were we just talking about, Tim? Oh yeah, it's like some sort of underwater plants. And Jim, do you know what a clitoris is?
I've seen it in health class.
But I think the most important thing that we're going to mention about Tallahassee today, just like I know this is about the murder mystery, throw all that out because no offense, that's not as important as what I'm about to tell you guys. And it's that the fact that the legendary, one-of-a-kind, ass-pounding, best rock metal group of all time is from there. That band, of course, being Creed.
Oh, man. Dude, I thought they were from like England or something.
No, dude. Creed is, I don't know. I mean, they suck, but I like them.
I mean, I like my own prison.
Dude, I remember one time,
my murdering uncle, they would
Once
always
again.
they would always buy us whatever CDs we wanted, like any album we wanted. So I remember one time I got the Bone Resurrection CD, and just me and him
Oh, dude,
listened
that's
to
awesome.
it. And he's like, yeah, so these guys, they pretty much only say, and then he said the N-word.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they say that a lot. And then, but it was like all of us. I can't remember what CD I got this time, but my cousin, he got, it was Dr. Dre's, I think it was, what was his 2000 album?
Wasn't it just
Was
called
it
2000?
Chronic? Oh, it might have been just, yeah, not Chronic. It might have just been, is it Chronic 2000 or
Yeah,
just 2000?
I feel like there was a 2000 in it, yeah.
But they were listening to it, and we were all young as fuck. We're like 12 and shit. And they're like, whoa, this has a lot of cussing in it. He's like, yeah, but, Creed cusses. My parents listen to them. It's like they say damn once
they say
in a while.
goddamn once in fucking my own prison.
Oh, shit.
And by the way, nobody was listening to Creed. Nobody knew about it.
Oh, Creed.
What am I missing out on Creed?
They have a lot of fun songs, man.
I mean,
Which one should I type into YouTube Music
I wouldn't.
so that it will then produce a playlist?
Best Creed song. I think my favorite is
My Own Prison's my favorite.
A Verdict is in My Own Prison.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah,
That's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's their only actual good song. I mean, like Higher isn't bad.
I don't like
but
Higher.
It's not bad, but I mean,
I like What If?
yeah,
I think that
I
one's
only like
funny.
that because of Scream 3, though.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't like it for fucking the song. We like it for a movie.
So in 2014, Scott Stapp, he was broke and living in a hotel. And he
In
said,
2014.
he didn't have enough money to feed himself. And he said that there was a giant conspiracy against him.
I did not know any of these things, so that's amazing.
He says, there's been a couple of weeks where I had to sleep in my truck. I had no money, not even for gas and food. Several years ago, Scott Stapp, he was, oh my God, he attempted to commit suicide by jumping off the balcony of his hotel room in Miami.
Oh, just fucking let him, dude.
And, I guess fucking T.I. walked out, he was outside and he just saw him or something.
Holy shit, dude.
Wait, Texas Instruments walked out?
Dude, how much would you pay, though, Kev, to have this exact thing happen, but T.I. does the thing from fucking Yes Man where he sings Jumper from Third Eye Blind?
What if Scott Stapp was like, I'm gonna fucking jump off here and kill myself. There's no fucking reason to live. T.I. stepped out and he's like, you can do whatever you like. That's not even the lyrics of the song, but all right, let's just move on. So there are also a bunch of athletes from Tallahassee, such as Deion Sanders, who's the fucking man. Jameis Winston, who is funny as shit.
Yeah.
He's done some cool stuff. He's stolen crab legs from Publix.
Definitely didn't live up to his expectations, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
He got in trouble on campus because he was walking around with a rifle that was a BB gun shooting squirrels.
Makes a lot of sense.
He also has
Squirrels are good eating.
He also has that funny picture that he snapped someone that said show me your boobies or something.
Okay, yeah, hashtag Wildman.
Hashtag Wildman. And last but not, he also is in trouble for possibly maybe sexually assaulting or raping a girl in a taxi.
All right,
I don't know if he did it. I don't know the details of that, so I just know there's something about
Was
that.
she the driver?
I have no idea what happened.
I guess that's not really relevant.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
exactly
relevant.
what happened. And then last but not least, well, actually out of these three, he would be the least. Marty Jannetty.
Oh, fuck yes, dude. Holy shit.
Is he dead?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, he didn't die? Shit.
No, his career just did.
Yeah, sorry.
He got thrown through a barbershop window, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then let's not forget old Ted Bundy had some popular times down here as well.
I like how the last was Marty Jannetty and Ted Bundy came after. So we respect Ted Bundy more than Marty Jannetty.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Oh, no. No, sir. Today, we are here to talk about the Sims family. And now my main sources for this were projectcoldcase.org, as well as the 641 Muriel Court documentary. There's also a few other sources that if I pull it from that specifically, I think I mentioned it later on.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Time to go back a little over 50 years ago. October 22nd, 1966. More like 19666 after what is about to happen here.
Oh, shit.
So this night, which was a Saturday night, it was a big day for college football in Tallahassee. You see, the Florida State Seminoles, they were playing Mississippi State, and they would end up beating them 10-0.
Damn.
So pretty high scoring.
I get a fucking shutout in football.
Fucking exhilarating game of 10-0.
Did the other team just not show up?
And this was a home game at Florida State. But Florida State, they ended up going 6-5 that season, so not very good, actually.
Yeah, it's not too bad. That's a winning record.
Yeah, that's true. And the Sims family, they're considered a new family in town, but they're also a very respected family. Like, people really like them. And they arrived here in the early 1960s from Mississippi. And they're known to be a happy and religious family. They're also Baptists, which I don't know anything about religion, so I don't know exactly what Baptists are.
I think that's what I was when I was younger, I'm pretty sure.
They have an ongoing feud with the Presbyterians.
Yeah, I know those fuckers. No, I really don't, though. But when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure I was a Baptist.
My dad really, really hates religion. So, Dad, did you want to come in here and say something? Yeah, I did, son. Baptist, more like bat shit. All right, Dad, that didn't really rhyme at all, but thank you for, go back to your cupboard. Go back to the cupboard, Dad. Keep pretending you're Harry Potter.
Wait. Is your dad an Indian?
Oh, fuck yes, dude.
The Indian, yeah, because my dad used to be a toy. He just fucking came to life. That would actually explain a lot. That would explain why I just don't know anything. I have zero skills.
You have toy genes.
You're really good at online poker.
Oh, how sad it is when they bring that deer back to life in the cupboard and then let the Indian kill it.
Oh, that whole movie's sad, dude.
It is.
To be honest with you, I don't really remember
Except
that
for the
much.
part
I haven't
when
seen it for a while.
The scary part where they're stuck under the floorboards running from that mouse that's going to like eat them. And the boys are just watching the like girls like music video.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that one though. I mean, if I had to choose between letting a bunch of people die and watching that video,
that'd be such a cool power to have though. Like any toy, you can just make it a living being.
That would be cool. And everyone, they constantly mention how nice of a family they were and how sociable they were. Yeah, people always make fun of the way I say words because I pronounce like every letter whenever I do stuff right. Like I say, like when I said New Hampshire, a lot of people made fun of me. They're like, what is that? What are they, fucking hobbits?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Sorry, guys. I believe in letters. The father...
So you're unlike the French in that way.
Now, the father, Dr. Robert Sims, he had recently gotten his Ph.D. at Florida State University in 1961, and he was now working with computers at the State Department of Education.
Yeah, I heard he was like really, really good.
Yeah, he's really popular too because, I mean, this is in the early 1960s, and he's doing computers, so he's got some fucking good money and shit.
Absolutely. From everything I read, it seemed like he was like super smart and like probably would have done really well.
Yeah. Although working with computers back then, geez, in 61... Fuck, it's like, okay, I've got this machine the size of a fucking
they used the
U-Haul.
They used a Free Willy truck to get it there.
I know. I like how basically our calculators now have more power than those computers probably did.
Yeah, dude. What was the thing? Your cell phone is more powerful than the computers that got us on the moon?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
like Apollo 11 or
By
whatever.
a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking ridiculous.
I was trying to think of what they actually said saying-wise, but I can't remember.
Hats off to anyone who goes in space.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
I agree.
That shit's scary.
For sure.
Okay, guys, one-way trip to Mars. Do you take it?
No.
No.
Never.
It'd be boring. There ain't shit to do there.
Yeah, but
Climb that fucking, that obelisk.
Yeah.
Or is that on the...
Go stand on the face.
What is the obelisk? Is that on Mars?
I don't know what
I have no idea what that means.
obelisk is.
Damn it, now I gotta look this thing up.
Are you thinking of the 2001 thing?
And his wife, Helen, she was the church secretary, and she was known for being young, attractive, and very good at playing the piano.
Helen? Who's Helen?
That's your mama's name, Bobby. Together, they had 3 daughters, Jenny, age 17, Judy, age 16, and Joy, age 12.
That had to have been on purpose.
And all were known to be good students and intelligent, which is a nice combo to have. And on the night of the big football game, Jenny and Judy, they were both away babysitting for different families.
Oh, there was 2 kids gone?
Yes, because they have three kids total. So the oldest, they were both babysitting different families.
Gotcha. I didn't read that part. I knew there was one gone.
Were they part of any clubs?
What kind of clubs?
Well, babysitters clubs.
Oh.
That's the joke.
Nice.
Mine was like, okay, let's see, letter J clubs. What clubs are there? That...
You're like, well, hang on, let's go a letter forward. We know about K clubs.
Yeah, my father introduced me.
Him and Andrew are really involved in a K club.
So it's around 11 p.m. that night, and the football game is just coming to an end. And during this time, Tallahassee is considered a small southern town, and it's been noted as a place where people would leave their doors unlocked, they would leave the keys in their car, and so on, which seems like the complete opposite to any city in Florida nowadays. And at least to me, after living in Orlando for a year, I would never leave my door unlocked or anything like that. But also, I am weak, squirrely, and I have a very sad-looking penis.
Andrew just left.
And 17-year-old Jenny Sims, she had just finished babysitting, which I think she was actually watching the kids while their family was either at the game or watching the game or something. I'm not quite sure.
I was right at the game, but I feel like there's a lot of conflicting stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the parents would be at the game too. But Jenny, she ends up getting back to her place at 641 Muriel Court a little after 11 p.m. And she enters her home. The radio is on or the TV is on. Like Tim said, there's a lot of conflicting details about this. But she doesn't see her parents or her sisters anywhere, but she does hear that either one of the radio or the TV is on. So she keeps looking around like, where the hell is everyone? And she starts getting a little nervous and worried. And then she makes her way to her parents' bedroom. And inside, she sees a fucking just horrific, grisly sight. And some details on what she finds here are a little different or they have conflicting details depending on your sources. So just a heads up whenever you hear the next part of this. So inside the room, Jenny sees that her father, 42-year-old Dr. Robert Sims, he is tied up and blindfolded. He is lying on top of the bed, and he has been shot in the head. On the floor and on the carpet below the bed, her 34-year-old mother, Helen, she was bound, blindfolded, and shot once in the leg and twice in the head. Sadly, that is not all of it either. Next, her 12-year-old sister, Joy, she was also on the floor in her pajama nightgown. She was shot in the head once, and then either stabbed 6 or 7 times in the abdomen. So that's pretty fucked up.
Fuck, man.
And here's a quote from Sergeant Dennis about the scene. Joy was found on the floor next to her mother in the master bedroom. She was bound by the ankles and her wrists. She was gagged. She was shot. She was also stabbed multiple times in the chest area.
So he stabbed the little kid and neither of the adults. It's like, this little kid, she needs some stabbings.
It depends on what, source you went to, though, because I feel like there was other ones that said, the parents were stabbed, too.
Well,
but from the actual police report, does it say, about the parents, if they were actually
stabbed? I only
stabbed?
saw pieces of the report, but regardless, the 12-year-old girl got the worst of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was the one that was actually stabbed.
So it became pretty apparent that the main target in this attack was most likely the 12-year-old girl, because I know the other ones, they got shot in the head.
Yeah.
But she definitely got the worst of it all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And one more thing to note here, although not all the sources mention this, depending on when the article or news came out. But this next part, it didn't come out until 2006. But when Joy was found, her underwear was down to her ankles, and it was believed that she had been sexually assaulted.
I didn't see that.
So if you look at some of the newspapers and stuff before then, it won't list that. But in the report that they showed during the documentary, it mentioned this part.
I never saw that. That's fucking disgusting.
So yeah, that's fucking gross. And then one thing that Jenny notices, though, this horrific, horrible scene. I don't know how she noticed, but she soon learns that her mother and father are actually both still breathing. So both of them are still alive even after being shot in the head. Which means if they are still alive still, then all that shit that happened to Joy was most likely in front of them.
Yeah.
So poor Jenny, I can't imagine walking in on all of that. She tries to get some help, and so she calls the Beavis Funeral Home. And you may be thinking, goddamn, Jenny, that's pretty fucking dark. They're not even dead yet. You're already calling the funeral home. But back then, the ambulance service, it was through the funeral home, because the dialing of 911, it wasn't implemented until 1968, which I had to look up because I was like, why the fuck is she calling the funeral home? She's like, well, they're dead, so let me just fucking skip a step.
Well, let's get
I was
him
like,
out of
God
here.
damn, Jay, that's fucking dark.
Let's get him out of here. She called. Oh, fuck, this is so stupid. She called and they answered, and they're like, hey, let me put you on hold. She's like, don't put me on hold, butthead.
I was just about to make a butthead joke, dude.
Yeah.
Like, she calls him and they answer, hello, this is Butthead. Oh, I'm looking for Beavis. That's stupid. So Jenny calls and she tells them, quote, something terrible has happened. Please come. And so the first to arrive on the scene would be Russell Beavis and his 16-year-old son, Rocky Beavis.
Oh, that's a fucking sweet name.
Honestly, if I called for help, I was like, help my family. Some of them been murdered. The other two are dying. And the first person that showed up was a guy. And he's like, hey, my name is Rocky Beavis. I would be like, you know what? Never mind. I'll figure this shit out on my own.
Yeah, fucking right, dude. As soon as he showed up, like, my name's Rocky Beavis, I'm like, well, we're going out on a date.
Rocky Beavis sounds like if you're like, oh, cool, I got a puppy. Oh, damn, it's the ugliest puppy, like, in the world, and its jaw is fucking crooked, and his tongue is hanging out the side of his head. He has patches of hair. What are you going to name him? I guess Rocky Beavis.
That Rocky actually had a friend who basically dressed and acted like the Fonz. So it's just Rocky and Beef Winkler.
I guess Rocky Beavis, he showed up, and it wasn't one of his best days of how he looked. He was in a hurry, and it was just sometimes you wake up and you don't look your greatest. You look pretty fucking fugly.
That's me every day.
And he gets to the door, and he's like, oh, hello there, Rocky. And before he can say his last name, she interrupts him and goes, Dennis.
Oh, man. His mom's share.
I'm so sorry to the real Rocky Beavis.
We're not sorry.
No, I am sorry. Sorry to Rocky Beavis because
no, it's a Rocky Beavis, yeah, but not to
since now we know that people that we mention in our cases like to send us angry emails.
Yeah.
I will just say, Rocky Beavis, you don't have to. You can just come beat my ass if you want.
I mean,
I won't fight back.
By the way, or just listen to the fucking disclaimer in the beginning and don't listen.
And the phone call, it took place at 11:20 p.m. And then shortly after that is when the Beavis guys show up. They should have just gone by the Beavis brothers, dude. They sound like they're like,
dude,
hey,
that should be a tag team.
They're like, hey, we're the Beavis brothers. We drive around selling hoagies. That sounds like what they would fucking do. But it's the dad and like the 16-year-old son.
That would have been so much better, like as a tag team though, than me and Andrew were. Because me and Andrew were trying to we're like, dude, the Dudley boys, they're really good. We should try to follow them. And we became a tag team. They called us the Fugly Boys.
And it doesn't even make sense because he still kept the Dudley name, but he just went by Cousin Dudley.
And what sucks is we couldn't even win the women's tag team titles.
Which, you know what? Shout out to all the women out there. Women main event, WrestleMania.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
So, hell yeah, that's pretty cool. Hashtag Wild Woman.
Hashtag Wild Woman.
Hashtag now I know when to shut it off. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Dude, that really might be the match I'm the most excited
about.
I
was just kidding. They have some good, there's actually some good women wrestlers right now. Like, I actually don't mind it. Before, I used to only like if it was like Trish Stratus. Because, I mean, she had them big old hooters.
Yeah.
No, her and Lita used to have some good matches.
Oh, fuck yeah, they did, yeah. That's basically, you can.
That's about it.
Yeah, so you can just end it there back then. There wasn't anybody better.
So the Beavis boys, they came into the house and they saw the murder scene. All three of the victims, they were in the back bedroom. But like we said, they noticed that Helen was breathing and that both her and Dr. Sims were actually still alive. And now Rocky, the 16-year-old, he doesn't really like what he's seeing. And he said that after seeing his father's reaction, like he was actually pretty scared. I mean, I don't blame him. This next part doesn't really make sense. I couldn't figure out why this happened. I don't know if it was because Rocky was scared of seeing the bodies, but some sources claim that what happens here is that Rocky, his father, is like, we don't know if the murderer is still here or not, so let's turn the lights off in here.
Yeah,
What the? So they turn the fucking lights off in the master bedroom. I don't get it.
Yeah, I've read that in every single source too. I don't know.
We need to make sure we don't fuck up the crime scene. So turn the lights off, and all of a sudden you just hear shit breaking. They're stumbling in there, and they hear a trumpet playing. They're like, Dr. Sims, is that you? Are you playing the trumpet? Are you okay?
Yeah. And then they like see like a campfire light up, and they just start sitting down telling ghost stories.
Submitted for the approval of the
Brothers Commonplace.
Submitted for the approval of the Brothers Commonplace. I bring you the tale of the cowardly bullfrog. Remember we used to do those?
It's so good.
What would you do if like Rocky? No, I'm not gonna make this joke because it's gonna be Dr. Sims is like they have him as like a puppet and he's doing the Santino trumpet thing. That's not funny.
That's funny.
So I guess they turn the lights off, but they need to get the bodies out of this room and into the ambulance. So I don't know if they turned the lights off and then did all this shit in the dark or what. I really don't. I don't know. So
I heard they played Spin the Bottle really quick. But it was just it was just the father and son.
Holy shit, you're such an amazing kisser. You're not really kissing back. Here, turn the light on. Dr. Sims.
He's like, turn the light off. He's like, wait, I didn't know my dad was fucking Brett Favre.
Tom Brady.
Oh, fuck, it was Tom Brady. God damn, I thought
No,
it
it's
was
good because Brett Favre would send dick pictures to like reporters and shit, so it still works.
Fuck. Dude, I told somebody at work about it, but I told them Brett Favre.
What if they're so
like,
pissed?
Today.
They're like, we got to go fucking kill Brett Favre for that.
Fuck, dude, I'd ruin the whole story.
So this is, so like I said, we don't know for sure if the lights are off when they're getting the bodies out of there, but the mother and father are still alive. So I like to, it's not funny because they are victims, but I can't help but picture the Beavis guys just going in there. It's like, all right, I got him. And then they hear like a dung, and then they hear, like they fucking accidentally hit his head on shit or something. I don't know. But
part of the problem was one of the Beavis brothers got distracted. He was hanging out on the set of Game of Thrones. Smoked a little too much weed.
I don't get it.
Rocky Mountain High.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
I like that. That's good.
So here's a little quote right here. This is from, I don't even remember which one's which. Rocky, I think, is a 16-year-old. But he said, I went into the kitchen to find a butcher knife or something, and it suddenly dawned on me that I'm here by myself. I'm not the bravest person in the world, but it scared the hell out of me, to tell you the truth. So, as far as we'll find out later, I don't actually think they fucked up the crime scene at all.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they did. We really don't know. We'll talk about what happens during the crime scene, though.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I don't 100% know the details on the light situation. Like, maybe in the dark, they were still able to get the bodies out safely without fucking up the crime scene too bad. But who knows? It seems kind of foolish, though. So they unbind the parents, and they're attempting to get them in the ambulance and escorted to the hospital. Unfortunately, Dr. Sims, he would end up passing away. I'm not sure if it was during the transport or if it was at the hospital or what, but he ended up dying pretty early on. And then Helen Sims, she was in a coma. Like, when they found her, she was in a coma, and she would stay in one for the next 9 days. And then, sadly, she wouldn't make a recovery, and she never gained consciousness and ended up passing away at the end of those 9 days.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah, because those are the only two witnesses to the murder also.
And unfortunately, may have seen... Yeah. I hope they didn't, honestly.
Yeah,
I really hope they didn't.
I hope they didn't have to see what happened.
Yeah, as horrible as that sounds, I hope they were killed. Well, not killed because obviously they were alive, but I hope they were in a coma before they saw what happened to their daughter.
Yeah.
But nowadays, would they unbind the parents? Like, nowadays, like, would they...
Because they were still alive, you know?
I don't know. Maybe nowadays, like, they would have known ahead of time if they were really, like, going to be able to be saved.
Yeah. And I'm sure they wouldn't send fucking Bulk and Skull
exactly.
in here to fucking do it. I'm sorry. Beavis guys, I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
It's just, we're assholes making jokes.
They would send, some medical staff to know if they were able to be saved.
Bulk and Skull. That's just the bullies from Power Rangers.
I know what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is. Every time me and you look in the mirror together, we see them.
I mean,
No, by the way, I was a Vera Troopers fan. Just throwing that out there.
It does say something about the state of Tallahassee at the time, though, that the first responders are the Beavis brothers.
Well, and they were like, yeah, to be honest, we just didn't know. Like, they didn't have any murders or anything ever, so they're like, we didn't know what to do. Like, no one did.
They're like, well, we thought they would have called King of the Hill first, but, you know.
So the first officer to arrive on scene was an investigator named Larry Campbell, and it was even his birthday. He had just turned 24 years old that day.
Nice.
And he would end up becoming lead investigator, and eventually he would become sheriff.
#Wildman.
#Wildman. And I think he was like a pretty young sheriff, too. I can't remember the actual age and dates of that. But, I mean, he's lead investigator. He just fucking turned 24 that day.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, definitely. That's a young lead investigator for sure.
Dude, so I didn't mention this earlier, but when I was looking up the details of the football game, I know I sent you guys a snap of it. I was like, okay, here's the football game. Here's the details. Here's all the here's the button for the roster. I was like, okay, I know there's gonna be a funny ass name on here on the roster I can make a joke about. So I click the roster. The very first name I see that I fucking zone in on is like starting running back, and it was the name of my brother that's a child molester. So I was like, well, you know, I deserve that. So I was like, I think that's maybe I should quit making fun of names.
Dude,
I think I brought that on myself.
I wasn't sure if that was what I was supposed to laugh at, so I was like, I'm not saying anything back to this.
I sent the snap. I was like, let's see what we got. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, son of a bitch. Well, that's what I get.
Yeah.
All right, where were we? So this part is really weird. That night, just as he was about to get off duty and then head out to his birthday party, this is the investigator, the 24-year-old, he got a call about this murder, but he said that when he was called to go check out the crime, they were like, yeah, there was a fatal traffic accident with one fatality. And he was like, well, I'm almost off duty. And he's like, I have a birthday party tonight. Is there any way we could get like anyone else to go check it out? And then they phoned him again. Like, that traffic accident had 2 deaths. It's not even a fucking traffic accident, so I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
And then before he gets there, they finally changed it to a murder. So I don't know. I don't understand that part, why they would mark it as a traffic accident.
Yeah,
no idea.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I have no idea.
And it was also said that there really weren't crimes like this at all, like in Tallahassee. So the sheriff's office, they really didn't like fully know the best way to handle this crime. And they wouldn't say that the crime scene wasn't carefully handled, but they did say with like the excitement, like not like positive excitement, but just the excitement of everything that's going on. People were going like all over the house, and it made it very hard for them to track clues and things like that. And then also neighbors, they were coming over and like just walking through the area, like looking around. I guess they would even take shit like that.
Yeah.
And also the investigators, when they were there, they even like used their shit to make a pot of coffee. So it's like they're just kind of like contaminating and touching everything, but they didn't mean to do any of that. Like, I think they were actually trying to do a really good job, but it's like their first time
it's just
doing a case like this.
Burlesque axe murders all over again.
They're like, oh, they got it. Well, let's not to be a dick, but they're not here to eat these Hot Pockets.
Yeah, walking through. Hey, guys, I'm really tired. Can you hand me that blood-stained pillow? I'm going to fucking take a nap here on the floor.
They're like, Rocky Beavis, what are you doing down here? I just came downstairs to grab a banana.
Hey, I bought mine on Friday.
So, also with this case, it's another classic case of where we have 2 jurisdictions. I didn't fully get it, though. It said like they had the police officers and then also the sheriff's office. So I guess those are working against, like not against each other, but I guess it's like 2 separate things right now. And then neighbors and civilians also, like all of them are kind of coming in and out of the crime scene, doing their own thing for the next couple days. And there's like no clear-cut lead in the investigation yet. So there's just so many people in and out of the scene trying to do their own stuff.
They can't just stop the neighbors and shit from coming in, though? Like
they did, and I don't know.
They just run out of police tape at this point.
I guess.
It's like, hey, guys, stop it.
I guess they were trying to like get the neighbors to get out of there, and they would. It was just going to be a neighbors with attitude joke. NWA neighbors with attitude. It wasn't going to be funny.
They're like, well, I heard Mrs. Sims had made meatloaf last night, and I mean, if they're not going to eat the rest of it, come in there and get a little bit of that.
I remember in Family Matters when Carl was like, hey, Harriet. He's like, what's for dinner? She's like, meatloaf, Carl. And he's like, you didn't forget to put the meat in it this time, did you? And there's a laugh track. She's like, of course not. Otherwise, it'd just be called loaf. I fucking love Family Matters,
And that's
dude.
when they brought in Urkel to save the goddamn show.
Urkel, dude. All right, I'm sorry. We've been getting off track. And like we said, I don't think that the investigators did any of this stuff on purpose. They just really didn't know how to handle it. And after a few days, much like in our last episode with the phantom killings of Texarkana, people just begin to go a little bit crazy. And according to an article written by WCTV, women, they were all signing up for like self-defense classes, and they also began to carry around water guns full of ammonia.
Ooh.
That's pretty badass.
Wait, didn't that happen in one of our other episodes?
I don't know, probably.
I think so.
My uncle, the murderer uncle, he said that sometimes way back in the day, because he was a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, that he used to go to like Browns games decked out and all Steelers shit, and people would like piss and squirt guns and shoot him with it. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It sounds like a good time.
that's what you fucking get. Stay out of the dog pound, you cunt.
Yeah, you fucking...
Watch what you say. That's my uncle, dude. I will smack a bitch. I'm just joking. I don't know.
I didn't even know what name I was going to say.
Here's a quote from the Leon County Sheriff, Mike Wood. Tim, you're laughing at Mike Wood.
How would I not laugh at Mike Wood?
Quote, the hardware stores where you can buy guns and ammunition sold out almost the very next day.
Was it Mike Wood's hardware store?
No, he was the county sheriff.
God damn it.
Halloween, it was canceled. That was a quote from the sheriff.
I didn't remember that, yeah.
This is from the Tallahassee Democrat, which is the newspaper. This is no night to send young children in masks and costumes into the streets. So we got a lot of quotes from here. City officials, they set up a, quote, prowler squad, which were officers with dogs, and they would patrol the streets at night. So that's pretty badass. I wish they would have caught the people responsible and just let the dogs fucking just chew their heads off.
Just let the dogs out, yeah.
Yeah, who let them out, Tim? Who let those fucking dogs out? Is it true that song's about like running like a bunch of like all the ugly girls coming out at night? That's what I heard.
I mean,
it's like, goddamn, who let the fucking dogs out?
I want to know who saw my mom and who pretended that's what it's about, but all right.
They're like, what should we call it? Should we call it Who Let the Fucking Mutants Out, or should we not be so on the nose with it?
Dude, my mom started listening to the podcast.
Oh, shit. Did she? Cool.
Yeah. I mean,
that wasn't supposed to be a burn at her.
No, but she, I mean still, I've cracked a lot of mom jokes. Like, as soon as she told me, it's like, oh, fuck, that's not good.
Yeah, dude, if my dad ever listens to this, I'll probably be grounded.
You won't be allowed to fucking play that Xbox in the living room.
Dude. Here's one last quote. This is from Ocala.com, which Ocala is a city in Florida. Quote, I was so scared I didn't let the kids out to play. And this is from, I can't pronounce this name, Calliope Joannos. I don't know. Her first name is Kalliopi. I feel like a P-P-P-O-P from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Yeah. And then her last name is Joannos. I don't even know if that's a girl. I would have stopped
trying there, yeah.
But she is 71, and she still lives in the house that's right behind the Sims home. She said, quote, the night before, the little girl came to me to sell Christmas cards, and the next day she was killed. So that's a fucking pretty sad thought.
Yeah,
like she was just there, and then almost the whole family is murdered the next day. That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the motive goes, there was money and jewelry that was out in the open and it wasn't stolen. Plus, I think they also had like a rare coin collection in a dresser that wasn't taken. So robbery was quickly ruled out. And also the house, it looked like nothing had been like moved around or stolen either. And they also thought it was a little weird that the home, upon arrival, it looked very neat and there wasn't any sign of struggle. Like they specifically mentioned that there was just a cup of coffee on the table just sitting there. And there was no signs of any forced entry. So it is believed that whomever did this, the family must have known them and willingly let them into the house. Like, that's not a proven thing, but that was just kind of a theory that the investigators were running with.
Absolutely.
And investigators, they lifted nearly 1,000 fingerprints. However, there is nothing that led them to the killers, and the murder weapons, they were never found. And the investigation, they didn't really get any leads on anyone, really, and they didn't have too many suspects. So they began by searching the surrounding areas, hoping to find clues, and they were talking to neighbors, thinking maybe they knew something. And then they were like, well, maybe a murder weapon, maybe it was thrown in one of the nearby ponds. So they drained that to look, but found nothing.
Yeah, I like how they fucking drained a pond and they still found nothing. I mean, but hashtag Wildman for them trying, though, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to mention something else they try, which is pretty fucking stupid. But it would have been, if they would have, somehow this would have led to it, it would have been, it'd been like, wow, you're the best detectives in the entire fucking world.
At least that one was good.
So people in the city, they're like, well, fuck, I guess maybe we should start locking our doors now. And now people were like, who knows? Maybe the killer's our neighbor. Or maybe he's a kid we went to school with. Maybe he's, maybe he's just someone who's blending in with the town. Or maybe he's someone we've known all along. And everyone, they're searching for an answer. And they're chasing like every lead, even if shit was absolutely ridiculous and hard to believe. Such as detectives, they're like, all right, we got to search every lead. We got to figure out who did this. So they went to the Tallahassee library. And they were like, we have a theory that this crime may have been inspired by the book Cold Blood.
Oh, my God.
So,
holy shit.
They started going after everyone who signed out that book. Like, the killer had to have signed out the book Cold Blood from the Tallahassee library. So that is what they did. You know how much time and money was fucking probably wasted doing that shit?
Right. Yeah.
But imagine if it would have worked.
Yeah, oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine the movie.
Oh my God.
You could definitely make a movie out of that.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, they're really grasping at fucking straws at that.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like in the movie that would be like a montage scene.
It'd be a
Yeah,
great one,
dude.
yeah, with Dave Bow Bow playing.
Like, we don't want these fucking shitty books. They're throwing all the shitty books away. So they're like, never mind. It was going to be that they just threw away the Book of Mormon. And then they're like, we don't want that. We want Cold Blood. They take that. You know, this is kind of funny. A long time ago, like 10 years ago, I wanted a Book of Mormon just because I didn't know anything about it. I was like, fuck it, I just kind of want to read it.
Yeah.
And I was tricked into contacting the Mormons to ask for the Book of Mormon
Nice.
because I thought maybe they would, because they were like, they said they would give me a free one. I was like, well, cool, you guys are just going to send it? And then they showed up at the house. And I stood out there and talked to him for a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is when I was, I had a house with an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no, I'm not going to come to the church or anything. I'm not religious. I just wanted the book. But they didn't end up giving it to me.
Mm.
I swear to God, they called. This was like 10 years ago. They called me like a month ago and left a voicemail and asked, like, hey, we heard you're interested in getting a Book of Mormon.
Yes.
And I didn't call back or anything, but they listed my phone number and the address, and it's the old house. So if
Yes.
she still lives there, that means the fucking Mormons came to see her.
Yes, man. Dude, call it back and say you want it.
But the
just
thing
so they go there.
is that was 10 years ago. So she's probably like, if that's true, she's probably like, wow, he is so fucking petty. He really just sent the Mormons to me 10 years later.
Oh my God, yes.
Which I wish that would have been my plan because that would have been fucking hilarious then. But no.
That's what you get.
That's what you get. So with no arrest, the community, they were fearful and scared that the killer was still at large and possibly going to kill again. So they canceled Halloween. There was no trick-or-treating that year. And there was also talks and rumors that the police may have actually known who the murderer was. However, they, quote, couldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. As the reasons why, we will touch on that a bit during the suspect section. But yeah, after them not arresting anyone or having any suspects, talks began that, oh, they know who did it, they just can't touch him. So before we jump into the suspects part of the episode, are there any comments or anything you guys want to discuss or touch on or any more Beavis brother jokes? They're not even brothers. It's a father and son.
Lethal Weapon too. Isn't that the one where they couldn't touch the guy because he had immunity?
Diplomatic?
Yeah.
Diplomatic immunity?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Lethal
I
Weapon.
think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson's fucking hashtag Wildman, dude.
I mean, he definitely is.
He's just a fucking racist asshole.
He's never done anything wrong.
Oh, dude. Who would you rather be? Mel Gibson after he's pulled over and he's drunk and ranting about the Jews, or David Hasselhoff eating that sandwich when he's drunk? And everyone is like, holy shit, that is the bottom of the barrel. That's as far as you can fall, David Hasselhoff. Or the last remaining member of LFO.
I'll go with LFO.
I'd rather be David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, he is cool.
We all would have definitely wanted, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go with LFO.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I was there. That has nothing to do with that, but why the fuck are 2/3 of that band dead? That shit bums me out, dude.
It's
sad
just
because I've been
natural
watching
selection.
live videos of them singing Summer Girls.
Yeah.
It's just sad because it's like, I don't want to say this, but the guy in the song who doesn't really do anything is the only one left. So, I mean, I know that's bad, and I didn't mean for that to sound as bad as it did,
Dude,
but...
maybe that's why he's the only one left.
So, alrighty, anything before we move on to the suspects?
No, I don't think so.
First up, Anal Roberts. No, I made that up. I was trying to see if you guys are paying attention. First up, C.A. Roberts, the pastor of the First Baptist Church. And C.A. was short for... Anyone? Yeah, put you guys on the spot.
Damn it doesn't work with Castor Troy.
One letter, right?
California avocados.
Oh, I like that
I
one.
like that.
Cecil Albert Roberts.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And why was he a suspect?
Because his name wasn't Castor Troy.
That's true.
I have an alternate theory.
Yeah.
He's called C.A. Roberts
Yes.
because that's what they said when he was born. Come C.A. Roberts.
It's like, by God, that's my son. That's his name.
The
There's a guy in like a
first Roberts
straw
we've ever
hat
seen.
out front of the hospital room. Come C.A. Roberts. Only $10.
So, C.A. Roberts, he was Helen's former boss and pastor at the Baptist Church. And just a few days prior to the murder, Helen had mysteriously stepped down and resigned from her job as the church secretary. So that's pretty fucking weird. That's pretty bonkers. Well, many women seem to have some difficulty with old C.A. because he was a ladies' man, they say, but also he was known as a remarkable guy. He comes from a very educated background. He was Florida Man of the Year and also a bunch of other awards and stuff like that.
Florida Man of the Year.
Florida Man. I'm sure he had a title. That was probably just a newspaper headline. I'm just joking.
I mean, I know
Florida
that.
Man.
I know that if you flip his initials around a little bit, nobody would have had a problem with him. No women would.
AC? Oh, fuck no, dude.
Man.
Dude, when I bought my car, I wore an AC Slater shirt, and
Oh,
the guy in the
fuck
middle
yes.
of it just started laughing. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. I've been fighting that the whole time. He's like, you have a Slater shirt on. I was like, he's the man.
Why wouldn't you?
And then he gave me the car, and then he sucked my dick. And I said, you know what? You know what, Dad? You don't have to do that. I appreciate you selling me this car. Okay, that's dumb.
Now the main question is, did he check out that book?
I don't think so, dude.
Well, fuck, he didn't do it.
That's true. That's enough. So lots of women were very attracted and very fond of this man. He would fill the church because women loved him and because men liked hearing him preach.
Yes.
However, he did like to cheat on his wife a lot. And as far as why Helen resigned from her position, we don't actually know why, but the rumor going around is that, quote, she knows too much. And it is believed that she found out about all the affairs that he was having, and so possibly CA wanted to shut her up or get rid of her. And as soon as he becomes a suspect, tons of women start calling the Tallahassee police and tell them, like, I had nothing to do with the murder, or I didn't do this, which is pretty fucking weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's all women that he was having affairs with that are calling in to the police station and calling the detectives and telling them that. So that's pretty fucking crazy and weird.
Like, why would you ever call a detective like, I didn't do it?
I don't know.
Because I feel like that'd make the detective like, oh, she probably did do it then.
Like, I did that once, like in town here. I'm sure you've heard of all the Sean Great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever he was in court, I called in. I was like, hey, you know all that Sean Great shit going on? They're like, yeah, it's very big. I was like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Well, for real, though, why the fuck would you do that? Why would you call in and say that?
I mean, I always do that. You know, every time there's a murder, I'm like, hey, guys, just letting you know. I mean, you have the right guy. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't do it. So
I still call about like Ted Bundy stuff.
yeah. Like, there was a rumor going around that they actually had like a good DNA sample for the Zodiac.
Yeah.
So I just in case, I called the FBI yesterday. I called them up. I was like, hey, I didn't do it.
Like, I did that, and I offered a stool sample, and they didn't want it, so then I had to read.
Well, you shouldn't have brought it in that brown paper bag and lit it on fire.
I didn't.
And you pointed to it. You're like, that I did do that. That is my stool sample.
And I was like, they called the shit poop.
And then OJ showed up. He's like, well, if I did it. Someone online made a joke that they're going to start like I don't remember who did this. Whoever did this, shout out to you because it's hilarious. That they're going to make a new buddy cop sitcom. And it's Jesse Smollett and OJ Simpson, and they're cops who are like trying to find the real culprits,
yes.
like the real murderer, and then
God.
the real people behind the hate crime. And at the end, they just become friends or something. I don't remember the details. So like maybe they possibly learned it was really them. I don't know. But either way, it was funny.
The true killer was friendship.
And there was some speculation going around that possibly Cecil and Helen were having an affair. But there was absolutely no evidence of that, and every time someone was asked about this, they're like, there's no way that was true. Like, no one believed that she would actually have an affair with him and do that. Old C.A. Roberts, however, he did have an airtight alibi for the night of the murders. You see, he was the FSU team chaplain. Is that how you pronounce that? Chaplain?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, sounds right.
The game, it was filmed, and you can see him there. And
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know. It must have been back then where they had people come in and do prayers and shit for the team. I guess that makes sense back then. But the pastor, old Pastor Roberts, you can see him on the video during the whole first half and then during the whole second half as well. Like there's actual footage of him there. But some people are like, well, maybe he left during halftime and committed the murders.
No, they wouldn't leave during the Janet Jackson thing.
No, hell no. If you're gonna see a titty,
Yeah, see,
then-
we're staying.
yeah. Except for that movie with Amy Schumer where she pops the titty out. I don't want to see that.
Is there a movie where?
Yeah.
Wait, what movie is that?
I forget. There is one though.
I'm fucking watching it.
Like if there was two, like if I was,
I don't know, man. I don't think you would know that unless you were interested in it.
Well, no, I really want to see two titties.
like if it was the movie Get Out and I was in that chair and I was like strapped down, forced to watch it, and they had two TVs, and one was just of like my mom giving birth to me, and then they kept putting it on reverse, so like I would slide out and go back in, or I had to watch the Amy Schumer titty scene. You know, I'd probably watch both, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that. I'd probably want to see both of them. So, moving on.
This February, history will be made. Millions will watch as 80 years of unjust stigma is left in the past. A product that drove good people to the black market will be revealed as one that's creating a new global market. This February, what inspired the symbol of counterculture will at long last be seen as just culture. The new normal is coming. Will you be one of the first to see it? Visit medmen.com to watch an exclusive preview.
So yeah, some people believe that maybe he left during halftime and committed the murders because there is footage of him at the first half and then the second half because he's standing in like the front sidelines with the team.
Yeah.
And then some people say, well, we think he changed his clothes when he came back in the second half. But you can't really tell as far as the clothes because you only see him on the sidelines from the back. And plus, it's all black and white, so you can't really see shit.
Absolutely.
But he was quickly eliminated as a suspect because it would have been impossible for him to leave, then do that and come back like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But people believed it was him so much that he eventually resigned and he left town. And his career and character is pretty much destroyed.
That kind of sucks if it wasn't
Yeah.
him. Like,
I mean, it does suck he's cheating on his wife all the time, but
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
but that also goes back to the Victoria Cushman thing where
yeah.
the guy, I mean, yeah, you cheated on your wife. That you fucked up, but that dude served like 6 years in prison and lost all of his money and everything for literally just that.
And in 2011, Sheriff County, Larry Campbell, the 24-year-old detective at the time, he said, "There's no doubt in my mind that CA had nothing whatsoever to do with the murders. He was just a victim of circumstances."
Yeah,
and,
so that
and just
sucks.
because of his character and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, stop cheating on your goddamn wives, but I mean, doesn't mean you're a murderer.
So, all right, anything about him before we move on to the next suspect? Rob Hubel. Yeah, just joking. It is Rob Howells. Now, the reason he is an interest in this case is because of his wife, Peggy Howells. This is a weird one. And according to her testimony, the day after they got married, they're driving down to Alligator Point from Tallahassee.
Dude, that sounds fucking sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't every point just fucking Alligator Point down there? So
That's true.
So they're driving. He's in his car, and they're driving together for their honeymoon. And for some weird reason during the trip, out of nowhere, he tells his new wife, Peggy, in detail about how he murdered the Sims family. And he even goes on, he's like, this is the order of the killings, and this is what I did to him and everything. And Peggy is just like so terrified and scared, she just stays quiet and just lets him talk and go on. Which that's a weird thing to do, especially on your honeymoon, just to bring that up.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to scare her, and I don't know, it's fucking weird. And now the reason that this is found out was because Peggy, she had written a letter about this interaction, and she even spoke about how whenever he was drunk, he would get really abusive and beat the shit out of her. He would say things like just to scare her, and he would always threaten to like beat up their stepson and all this other just awful shit. Now the letter that she wrote, though, she wrote this in the 80s, and by then I believe the two are divorced. I didn't see the dates on when this happened, so I'm not exactly sure when they divorced, but they do at some point. And there was like some sort of sale or something, and I think someone found this letter in it. I'm really not quite sure. They didn't really say in the documentary how they came into this letter, but they said she wrote it in the 80s.
I call bullshit. Yeah, definitely not. This didn't happen.
And so Peggy, she like after they hear about this letter, she's like talking to Tallahassee police, and she's like, well, I can get him to confess to the murders. So like she's very adamant on working with the police to get this to happen.
Yeah.
However, he gets tipped off by his daughter, so the plan doesn't work at all. Like she tells him like, hey, Peggy's gonna try and she's bugging the house, working with the cops, trying to get you to confess to this.
Yeah.
And now, according to Peggy, because the police are kind of like, okay, Rob, he sounds like a piece of shit if he's always drunk, abusive, and beating the shit out of you. But they're kind of like, why is Peggy so destined to get this murder pinned on Rob?
Absolutely.
So they're asking her, they're like, well, what's the motive behind this? Because there's got to be a motive as to why he would murder that family. And she said, well, one time Rob, he got into an argument with Helen Sims at the grocery store or something. But she said that Rob, he got offended by it. And so he followed her home to see where she lived. And later he returned to the Sims home and murdered them all.
Yeah, sounds like something that would happen.
Once again, not only does that not make sense, the 12-year-old daughter got the worst of it. So why wouldn't he would take it out on Helen, you would think, if this was true.
You would think, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that motive is weak and makes no sense at all.
Also seems like she just hates her husband and just wants to somehow get him, involved in the murder.
I mean, I don't blame her. If I was getting beaten by someone, I would try to blame him for murder too.
I mean, I'm not sure she
I mean, I wouldn't really, but I mean, I don't blame her for wanting to get rid of this dick.
If she was actually getting beaten, though, it sounds like this chick's just a fucking liar.
Well, I think she really was, and I think she was just trying to get rid of him.
Okay.
But I don't know, because they were divorced, but she probably put up with a lot of shit for however long they were together.
Maybe.
So eventually, Peggy, she goes back to the police, and this time she brings with her a .32 caliber handgun, and she says this may be the gun that Rob used whenever he shot the Sims family. However, the caliber used in the actual murder of the Sims family was a .38, not a .32.
See, I think she's lying about everything. I don't even think she was getting beat.
So it is believed that Rob is a very violent man, especially when he drinks.
Never mind.
But it also turns out that Peggy, she is a bit mentally unstable, which we don't know if that was from being constantly physically and mentally abused by him, or if we don't know. We really don't know the details of this. I'm sure there's more details out there, but according to the documentary, that was really all I heard about it.
Absolutely.
So there's really no motive for Rob. But there is motive as to why Peggy would want to blame this on Rob to get him in trouble.
Yeah, I guess if he was abusive.
And Peggy, she's actually put in a lot of work to try to make this happen. So I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess she's working her ass off to make this happen. However, Howell's fingerprints, they don't match the ones at the crime scene. Also, he passes a lie detector test, and the gun caliber doesn't match either.
Yeah.
So that was it for that one. Next, we have Tommy Fulgham. I think that's how you pronounced it.
Fulgore. He was
Fulgore.
one of the people from Killer Instinct. Wasn't it Fulgore?
Yeah. So first off, Tommy, he was 16 at the time when the murders took place. So he was a sophomore at the high school. So right away, most people would probably be like, that wasn't him that did all that brutal shit.
Yeah.
He was only 16. However, at the age of 29 in 1978, I think it was, he was living in Atlanta at the time. And Tommy, he would find himself in a bit of a strange situation here. You see, he had just killed his girlfriend, and he was found with a liver in a jar that was sitting next to him in his apartment. And then also in his apartment was his girlfriend's dead body that was found with her hands cut off. And then inside the bathtub was just a bunch of her organs sitting in there. So that's completely fucked up.
Definitely.
And the police, they showed up at the apartment and they see him just like hanging out on the couch with that jar next to him. And he tells the police that he did this for Satan because by doing this, then Satan would remain chained for 1,000 years and he couldn't walk upon the earth.
The fucked up thing is instantly they let him go and they gave him a free PlayStation 4.
Which, you know what? I'm hashtag Wildman. I'm on board for that. I'm just fucking with you. That's fucked up. Like, poor... I feel so bad for that girl. But, like, yeah, this is what he says. He did it. He's like, Satan is going to be chained up for 1,000 years if I do. If I cut off her hands, Satan is chained up for 1,000 years.
Wouldn't haven't we all been there, honestly?
Yeah.
Dude, Toof used to do this thing where he would, like, mention something that there's no way you would know it. And he'd be like, oh, what, you didn't know that? So that just reminded me of, it's like, yeah, if I cut off her hands, Satan will be chained up for 1,000 years. What, you didn't know that? Yeah, Toof used to always do that shit. Mark would be like, Toof, how the fuck would I know that, dude? How the fuck would I know that?
Hashtag thank you, Mark.
Hashtag thank you, Mark. So leading up to this point in the mid-70s, Tommy, he began telling people that he was being taken over by Satan. And then later he would say that he was in fact Satan. And then also, while he is being investigated, it turns out that when Tommy was 16 and living in Tallahassee, he actually lived like 2 or 3 houses down from the Sims home.
Wow.
But back then, he was a normal teenager, and I saw some of his yearbook pictures. He was a super good-looking dude. He was a very handsome dude. He really was. He was pretty small in stature and size, however, so back then, they're like, I don't know if he could have overpowered an entire family.
I mean, I guess with a gun, though. I mean,
yeah, it's true, if he did have a gun.
Say, because the gun was used at least in the parents.
But also on the parents, we didn't mention this earlier, I believe they didn't have any defensive wounds on them.
Yeah.
Which is like, if there was one guy with a gun and your 12-year-old daughter was getting molested, stabbed, killed, all that, you would probably do anything you could. But you'd think there'd be defensive wounds.
From what I read, didn't he tie the parents up first?
We don't know. Yeah, we really don't have any way of knowing that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine, like what the Night Stalker did, he would always take out his biggest takes challenge. Out the guy first because he would be the biggest challenge for him.
Absolutely.
So I imagine he did something like that. But why the fuck would he tie him up, then shoot him in the head? Why wouldn't he?
Well, if he wanted to be really, really brutal, he would, like, I don't want to say this, but like make them watch and then kill them.
I think,
like, I don't want to say that, but
we will mention in a little bit. It does seem like a lot of work for one person. They don't believe one person did this alone.
Yeah, probably
that's
not.
a fucking lot of work.
Absolutely.
So where were we? Back to this. And it wasn't until several years later in the mid-70s, after this murder case, when Tommy started having mental issues. So up until then, he seemed like he was a pretty normal kid. Like, his mental shit didn't happen until like 5 to 10 years later.
Yeah.
However, during the investigation immediately after the murders, they did become interested in him because when the police were going house to house to ask and interview people, he was nowhere to be found whenever they came to his home. And then whenever the police would go to like the school or they would come back to the house and stuff, he seemed to always be dodging them. But then again, if I was a 16-year-old kid, I'd be like, I don't want to talk to the police about anything.
Yeah.
You know? But the night of the murders, many people, including his ex-girlfriend, all stated that they were at a party with him. So there's no real evidence of him being the murderer. His fingerprints didn't match. None of the surviving daughters recognized him either. And so the investigation moved on. So yeah, you don't really hear a lot about the surviving daughters, but they were like, we don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, I really thought there was only one surviving daughter.
Yeah, the one who walked in on it.
Yeah, that's the only one I knew about.
Was there another daughter?
Yeah, there was. There was an older one. Kev mentioned her earlier. I didn't know there was either.
Yeah, there's 3. And this is just a random note to add in. This was in 1969, but it was the then Leon County Sheriff William Joyce. But this is what he told a reporter from the Panama City News Herald. He said that this crime's never going to be solved unless the perpetrators confessed.
Holy
what
shit.
Kind of fucking
Jesus.
lack of
like, thanks, bud.
Like, you just have no confidence at all. Yeah. This will never be solved unless the guy who did it just admits to it. It's like, all right, I guess. Imagine that.
Let's hope you're not involved in any other cases, asshole. He's like, you know what? OJ's he's innocent.
We don't know. Did you do it? No. Well, he says he didn't do it.
Good. You know what? It must have been Ron Goldman.
So now we come to the main suspects, the only two that were never actually fully cleared. The two suspects are a male and a female. They were teenagers at the time, but I think they were like 18 and 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
And some sources don't actually use their names, like the documentary and other sources do. So we're going to leave the names out, even though you can find them anywhere.
Pretty easily, yeah.
So let's go ahead and move now to October 1987, which is 21 years later. This is so fucking strange. After reading about the murders in a newspaper and becoming concerned that she was going to get arrested for it, Larry Campbell, he gets a call from a woman claiming that she needed to get some stuff off of her chest. So that's pretty fucking weird. 21 years later, you get a call. This girl's like, hey, I read about this in the newspaper. I don't want to get in trouble for it, so I got to clear some stuff. Why bring that attention to yourself?
Yeah.
So just a small note about these two suspects real quick. They are a male and female suspect. Right after the murders, they married and then moved out of Tallahassee. Like, they stayed in Florida, but they moved away. And then eventually they would get a divorce. And then it was after their divorce that the female suspect, she contacted the sheriff and was like, yo, we got to have an interview. Which they, of course, taped it. And it's just a fucking bonkers interview. And even in 2016, there's an article where one of the female's friends at the time, which like she had no friends at all, but this girl who used to be her friend, who is now the school superintendent in Leon County, she says that she knows who killed the family. And her name is Patricia Sunday. She said that when she was 19 years old, when a woman who she is not naming, that is the female we're talking about, she confided in her that gruesome details about the murder of the Sims family almost 5 decades ago. So this is all from that article, so it is word for word.
Absolutely.
And then here's her quote. She detailed everything that happened in the murders. I said, how could you know this? How could you possibly know this? To which she backed off and said, I can't talk about it. I must have dreamed it. So that's the person we're going to be dealing with right now.
Yeah.
A girl who came up with all these details of the murders, and then when asked about it, she said that she dreamt about it happening. So now back to this interrogation. The female, she talks for nearly 6 hours and sort of gives an if I did it type talk.
Fucking OJ type talk.
Like she would be like, well, if I was there, this is what would have happened. Or if I was involved, this is what would have happened. Or what if I was at the house and did this? What would happen? So like she doesn't actually confess or deny anything.
Yeah.
She does all what ifs and stuff.
This is just scenario.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But she's saying a lot of weird stuff like that. And the female that's doing this, she does come from a bad background. Like she was adopted and her adoptive parents were very abusive towards her. They would beat her a lot and treat her like shit. And whenever she was asked like why, like did they ever tell you why they like were so abusive towards you? And she said it was just because I existed. Wow. So that's fucked up. Like if that is true and you're a kid growing up, of course you're going to be fucked up after that.
Yeah, for sure.
And eventually she became obsessed with death. This female, she would go to the funeral homes like many times that they had to tell her to leave and stop coming back. Wow. Like this is the fucking Beavis funeral home guys.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like this girl, the female, she would always come in there and just fucking hang out and ask them weird questions, and they had to be like, you know what, you had to fucking go. You're too weird even for the Beavis brothers. They're not even fucking brothers, but like you're too weird for the Beavis funeral home guys. And they said that she would just show up and ask like all these weird questions, and then one night she even broke in and stole a bunch of gowns and other random shit. I don't want to sound mean, but I don't imagine like the guys who are like a family-owned funeral home business. I mean, there's got to be something a little goofy or a little off about them.
Yeah.
But even they were like, yeah, this girl really freaked us out. So
we have bodies in the basement, but yeah, this girl's fucking scary.
Like she was a very unusual person, and she didn't have any friends at all except for the male suspect that we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start calling the female C and the male V. So C and V.
Okay. We're going to call the female Anna Slumsky and the male Macaulay Culkin.
Let's go ahead and change. We'll call the female Vitamin C. So there's a really weird interview in the documentary, which was filmed. The documentary was filmed in 2016, and V, he is talking about the first time that he met C, And he goes on, he's like, oh, I remember how pretty she was. But he's a fucking old man now. And he's telling us about how he's like, oh man, she was such a gorgeous little girl.
Oh, God.
And it's fucking weird. Like, he was in 5th grade when he met her, and she was in 3rd grade. But he's like, how old now? Like 70?
Yeah.
I don't know. And he's like, oh man, she was such a gorgeous little girl. It's so fucking weird to hear an old guy say that.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
But V, at the age of 19, he was going to the Tallahassee Junior College, and he did 4 months in the Air Force before being discharged because of mental health reasons. And he came from a dysfunctional family as well. He had daddy issues, and he hated him because his dad had an affair with another woman. And his home, it was actually right behind the Sims home, like just a couple minutes walk from V's house to C's house, and then both to the Sims. So they live in like a triangle where it's like they can just walk to each other's houses pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now his father, we're not going to name, even though he's super easy to find also. He was actually a very important person. He was one of the head criminologists in the United States.
Damn.
Yeah, so he was, whenever you hear theories about, like, we know who he is, but we can't go after him.
Yeah.
This would be why.
Gotcha. That makes
because
sense.
his dad's the head criminologist.
Yeah.
And this next part is from ididitforjody.com, but yeah, it's from there. Famous criminologist is quoted extensively in mid-century court cases and penal publications. The textbook he authored was the gold standard for an entire generation of law enforcement professionals.
Oh, shit.
So he's a fucking big, important guy.
Yeah.
So around October 15th, which the murder was on the 22nd, so around October 15th, V is spotted peeping in on Joy Sims, the 12-year-old that would get murdered.
Oh, Jesus.
And in a police interrogation, she said that he was standing behind the trees, and because his tree line of his yard, I think, met with the backyard of the Sims.
Yeah.
But he was just like standing out by the trees, just like watching her and shit.
That's fucking disgusting.
And this, of course, made C jealous because V is her only friend, and it's believed that, like, she didn't want to lose him. Like, here's an exact quote from her during the police interrogation. She said, "This is why I went in there and did it. V was in trouble, and I was going to lose the only friend I had." So she fucking just straight up says that, but she's also like, well, based on the dream I had, this is why I went in there and did it. So she doesn't ever fully admit to it. She's like, I had this dream where I did all this shit.
Yeah.
Which is just like, that's fucking good enough for a confession.
You would think so.
And C, she's very, very jealous. Like, you can tell in the interview how jealous she was and how much she didn't like the Sims family at all. Like, she even goes on about, like, oh, I don't know why he was always watching Joy. She was only 12. She didn't have anything to look at. Like, talking about her breasts.
Man, come on.
And he's like, I would understand the mom because at least she had something there. And then she goes on. She's like, "Oh man, the Sims daughters, they were all so ugly. One of the 12-year-old was fucking
murdered.
killed."
Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting.
So on October 22nd, the day of the murder, V claims that they went to the drive-in, and her and C, they went and watched 2 movies and then possibly stayed for the third. However, the ticket taker at the drive-in said he knew who C and V were, and that they only stayed for 1 movie and then they left after the first movie.
Oh, wow.
And V said that they met at 7, went to the movies, and then went to a secluded area that he and C had sex in the car at. So that's what he said, that they, after the movies, they went and had sex. However, in the interrogation, C, she said that they weren't sexually active with each other until 1967 when she was 19, which would have been a year after the murders. So whether or not any of that's true or not, who knows? It doesn't really matter because they all keep changing their stories 100 times.
No.
But yeah, he's saying that they went to the movies and then they went and fucked in a car after, but she said that that never happened.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, but it's just a case of he said, she said.
Bullshit. The police, they did initially interview them in 1966, so they didn't have like audio or video of it or anything, but they did have it like typed up, like what their answers were and questions and stuff like that. And both of them have changed their stories up a lot. Originally, they had stated that they just went home after the movies, and then V said he got home around 11. So he's like, well, I got home sometime around 11. And then in 1989, which is 23 years later, he's like, no, I was dropped off at exactly 11:07, Which, why the fuck would his memory get better after 20 years?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's exactly 11:07.
He's like, I remember going inside, looking at the clock on the stove, and it said 11:07 exactly. It's like, motherfucker, shut up. Like, I hate this guy. But there's no, like, his memory gets better. Every interview, he remembers more shit, and he's super specific.
Yeah.
And they have the records of his old interviews. Like, there's no reason he would get more and more specific, and his memory would get better 20 to 30 years later.
It's like you're just making yourself sound way worse. Just fucking shut up.
Yeah. So this is V's story. He said that he was walking home after getting dropped off, and he saw a car with his brights on, but it had a, quote, funny headlight, and that's why he remembers it. He never explains why it had a funny headlight, but he just said it had a funny headlight. And he said that 2 men were in the car, and they were driving slow, and it made him nervous. So that's his 1966 answer.
Yeah.
This is his 1989 interview. He said that van, they stopped and opened the door, and this scared him, but they didn't say anything to him. They just like popped open the door, and that scared him. Now, in the 2016 interview, he said that the van, the 2 guys inside it open the door and say, oh, he's not the right guy. And so they close the door and drive on. It's like they didn't even fucking say this shit in any of your stories.
Fucking different than, like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he keeps changing all these small details and everything. And then when they asked him, well, what'd you do when you got home? He's like, oh, I don't remember. Like, I went inside, I changed my clothes, I probably made a sandwich and watched TV. I watched a movie alone.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I played 007 GoldenEye. I don't know.
Whenever I got to a cut scene and the controller vibrated, I shoved it up my ass. I don't know.
Oh, wait. So they were asking what I was doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't realize I was on trial.
So, yeah, he keeps getting more specific, and he's just like, I just listen to him talk. Listening to him talk in interviews is just, I hate this guy. But there was a witness, Mrs. Lamb, and she claims that when the sirens were going off, which was around 11:23, she saw V standing outside at the nearby intersection, and he was just making weird gestures. He was just kind of like acting weird outside, which is like right after the sirens were called.
Like outside of the house where the murders happened?
Not right outside the house, by a nearby intersection, because he only lived like a couple houses away. Like they all lived pretty close.
I wonder what the weird gestures would be. If he was doing the suck it sign, then he's innocent. Yeah, I'll say.
He's doing that thing.
Even if he did it, he's innocent.
She's like, I don't know what he's doing. It's something very weird, something strange. He has a hoodie on. He's doing that thing where you have one arm in the sleeve and the other one's in like your stomach, and like you do the up and down motion with it. He was doing that.
Innocent.
So the police, they ask C if V has a fascination, sexually of course, with young girls, and she says, yeah, I think so. So that's pretty fucking gross and weird.
Yep.
So V and C, they get divorced in 1968, and V said that in the divorce he gave her a house, and he gave her a car that was all paid for, and also alimony payments. However, in 1987, the alimony payments ran out, and so C, she filed to get them extended, but the judge, however, denied this. So it is kind of weird that V, he always took care of her and like paid for everything, like even after they divorced, like giving her all that shit, if that's true.
Yeah.
So V, he now thinks that she's making all this up because she wants to put him in jail, because since he's not giving her any more money anymore, but she's trying to put him in jail without her having to go to jail. Yeah. So that's why she's telling all these stories to where she's part of, kind of, but she didn't do anything, or it's all a dream, but she knows that he did it. It doesn't make any sense because she's not admitting or denying anything. She's just saying, in a dream I did this, or he did this. So, and this is when C, she states that because V hated his father so much that he wanted to go in not only to impress her by like killing this family, I guess, but he wanted to compete with his father by doing the perfect murder that his father wouldn't be able to like solve or figure out. So during the 6-hour interrogation, she says many times that, quote, I think I remember being inside the house, and there's a chance I remember being at the house. But she would also say like, oh, I think I was there. I think I was there before, but that was in a dream. Like she would always say shit. It's so fucking bonkers. Like it's insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she also claims to have like psychic powers of some sort as well.
Okay, well, no, I'm back on board now.
But she keeps giving them information, but she's also trying to see what all they have on her. So she's like giving her a little bit of information at a time, but she never denies or confirms anything. She's trying to like weasel out stuff from them. She's like, well, I'm going to give them this to make them interested in more, but I also want to know what they have, which is, why the fuck would you even contact them to begin with then?
Yeah.
It's just it's so stupid. And then she's like, so, about that $10,000 reward.
Oh, Jesus. Are you kidding me?
If I confess to some of this, would I get the money? And if I get that $10,000, like, could I stay out of jail? Like, could I get put in like a private jail for like a year or something? She's just like making shit up. Like, that's not a thing. You don't get to say you're going to confess and then come up with your own stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you would get the money just by confessing, even if you didn't do it, you would be like, oh, yeah, I did like half of it, but I know like I did the rest. Can I have that money though?
And then at the end, she says something along the lines of, well, if I confess to it and confess to all this being true, what would you do with somebody like me? And a lot of people think that this is where the police kind of fucked up, like on accident, like not meaning to. But Sheriff Campbell said, well, you would probably end up in a mental hospital. But that wasn't something she wanted to hear. So she clammed up after this and pretty much just stopped talking about everything.
Wow.
And legally, even though it looks like it, nothing she said was actually a confession.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really do anything about this.
Wow.
And V said that he had only been in the house once, and it was like sometime after the murders, whenever the house is for sale.
Yeah.
Like the people selling it supposedly had him and his mother over for dinner. Which, it just sounds, why? That doesn't make any sense to me
At
either.
all. Yeah. That's if they were interested in buying it.
And he said when he was inside the house, he noticed it had a very unique layout. And there's like, it's so unique. Like no one could like draw the house unless they were in this house before. That's the only way you'd be able to draw that floor plan.
Yeah.
And the reason for the mentioning of this was because the police, they asked C, they're like, can you draw the inside of the house for the police? Not only did she draw like almost a perfect floor plan, but she knew like the color of the carpets and other weird shit like that.
Jesus.
So, I mean, that's like, what more do you fucking want?
Yeah.
But yeah, she would never get arrested for these murders, and neither was V. Like, neither one of them were ever actually brought in for anything. Like, they would give they gave, I think, 3 interviews, like 66, 86, and 2016. And then he's interviewed by the guy making the documentary.
Yeah.
But yeah. Many people believe that C and V were most likely the ones that committed the murder. And then there's a lot of people that also believe that the reason they were never arrested was because of a conspiracy cover-up to protect V because of whom his father was. And I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes sense in a little bit, like why they wouldn't want to arrest him because of his father. But I would think if they knew who did it, they would arrest him. But I don't know. This is kind of weird. V, anywhere you go online, whether it's Reddit or newspaper sites or anything, there is always a user who's signed in with V's full name, and he defends himself on there. So there's no doubt it's really him.
Yeah.
And he says some weird stuff. Like, this is something he said. I don't remember if this is on the news article or Reddit, but he said C, it has her full name, I'm not going to say it, was trying to use her psychic powers to claim the reward. My scheduled alimony payments had ended and she needed money. It did not work because Larry Campbell knew that she and I were at a lover's lane at the time of the murders. She let me out of her car on Gibbs near Stiles at 11:07 p.m. on the night of October 22nd, 1966. In parentheses, he put, and I can testify to that in court because I looked at the clock just before I got out of the car. Like, that would fucking make...
Yeah, that totally matters.
I started walking home, and a Dodge Valiant with 3 white men in it stopped, so now there's 3 guys in it, opened the rear passenger door for me to get in, and then realized that I was not the man they were looking to pick up, and then they drove towards Tharp on Gibbs. I can testify to seeing that in a court of law, and there will be no evidence to the contrary because it is true.
Nobody would fucking know any otherwise at all. Nobody was there.
That happened at around 11:10 p.m. Also, I arrived home at 11:15 p.m. that night. I looked at the clock on our stove, so I can also testify to that. It is not possible to refute that in court of law because it is true. These facts alone make it impossible to establish even the most basic case against either C or V, like he's speaking about himself, let alone both of us. Oh, this was his father. No one recalls that his father was an assistant warden and prison psychologist at the State Prison of Southern Michigan. He has no experience in law enforcement, crime scene investigation, or detective work. He was a corrections and treatment expert. People know he was a criminologist, but do not remember his area of expertise.
I like how all his facts are just him looking at a clock that none of us saw him do.
Yeah, so that was actual posts from the guy from V, who a lot of people think did it. Like, he's all over the fucking internet on message boards and shit, like defending himself.
Yeah.
This is from WCTV.tv. This is where this article is from.
Yeah.
There is something that's kind of weird, though. One of the guys who he was a prosecutor, and I don't know if he eventually became like a lead investigator or something on this case, but he was something like in charge of this case.
Yeah.
He was also in the documentary a lot, but almost 50 years later, whenever this crime started making headlines again, because his name is Jeremy Mutz, he claimed that there is enough evidence to make an arrest, but politics was getting in the way. And so he eventually got fired from this case.
Holy shit.
Which is weird.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that.
Because he's like making progress in it, and then he gets fired from it. And he was like, yo, there's enough evidence here. It deserves like a full look. And he said like, he started receiving boxes full of records and hopes. He's like, yeah, we have enough here, and with technology we can prove it. And then like a couple days later, he got fired. So what he says is, I was fired because Mr. Meggs wanted to provide political cover, I believe, for Sheriff Wood. And then, so he's saying like that they're trying to like cover it up because I don't fully really understand, honestly.
Yeah.
And then Meggs, he said, in regards to Mutz, saying, I think that he was obsessed with this case. And so they asked him, they're like, well, he was like a 13-year prosecutor. Like, why was he fired? They're like, did he cross the line somewhere? And if so, where? And so Meggs, they said he paused for like 10 seconds, and he said, I will only say to you that Jeremy Mutz is no longer with our office. So he says, I will only say to you that Jeremy Mutz is no longer with our office. And then Meg said, it would take a moron to believe that myself or Mike Wood would not want to solve the Sims case. Probably one of the most ridiculous things I've heard in some time. This case has been in the forefront of this community for 50 years. It's been investigated and reinvestigated and reviewed and re-reviewed. And then Mutz said, that acts like there's something wrong with trying to see a case solved. There's not. There's nothing wrong with it. There's not. I exceeded no scope in what I was authorized to do. If he put half the effort into the Sims case as he put into prosecuting Ray Sansom or Sheriff Nick Finch or Sheriff Morris Young, the Sims case would have been closed with the arrest of the suspect. And whenever he was asked, is there enough in terms of physical evidence or witness testimony in your estimation in those files to name a suspect today, he said, there is. Is there enough information or evidence to arrest a suspect today? Oh, I just read that. There is. Both the state attorney and the sheriff insist that that is not true. The sheriff said that progress has been made within the past year, and he said that some evidence was recently submitted for analysis, but they're still awaiting the results. So it is fucking really weird that the guy who's like a lead dude investigating this is coming across a lot of shit, and then they just fire him.
Yeah.
I mean, something is really fucking fishy with that, you would think.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And this part right here is just something I came across on Reddit last night from a year ago. It's Jeremy Mutz, which is the guy who was the investigator who got fired.
Yeah.
And then also V.
Oh.
They're kind of commenting back and forth to each other.
Oh, shit.
And the thing is like, I believe Mutz believes that it was V that did this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I kind of do too, yeah.
So in regards to evidence, this is a post from Jeremy. He's from Jeremy Mutz. He says, there is quite a bit. There is fingerprint evidence. There is DNA evidence, both of which could rule out or implicate a suspect. There is the evidence of the knots, 5 to 6 specialized knots. And that is important. Who had the knowledge to tie the knots becomes crucial. We know there was traces of blood in the sink trap in the hall bath, So we know the killers took time to clean up. We know this was planned. It wasn't just a random thing where people walked by, saw the Sims at home, and went on a spree. And he also says killers, so I think he does believe it's C and V.
Yeah.
The lack of bloody handprints everywhere, again, tells us something about the killers, that they thought about this. The fact that they tied up, gagged, and blindfolded the victims tells us things about the killers, their motivations, and the profiles of who we should be looking at. C, admitted going to the front door of the house the night of the question. That statement is evidence. The plants were trampled in the side yard, so we have evidence the killer, at least one of them, sat and watched the house, which is fucking creepy. The spot selected for that tells us a great deal about who might have felt comfortable spending time there given the location of windows of the neighbors. The fact that 2 suspects lied repeatedly about their activities that night is evidence. I firmly believe that, had it been allowed to do its work, the 2016 task force could have solved this case. And then this is V's response to that actual comment. I believe that the plants were trampled in the side yard by the killers watching Gibbs drive and waiting for the car that picked them up after the murders. The knife-wielding killer probably cleaned his knife off on the shrubs after the murders, which is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
The killers would be less likely to be seen there than if they were standing by Gibbs waiting for their ride. Look at the photo of the side yard on the Facebook Justice for Jay solving the Sims murders.
Wait, I'm sorry. I phased out. Did you say look at the photo of the side boob?
Look at the side boob. The photo shows the house from the side yard. You can see the carport, brick walls, and the laundry area behind the clothesline. It is not possible to observe family members from that location. The bedrooms are on the opposite side of the house. Nobody watched the house from that point of view. It's just so fucking, like, everything he says and describes shit is so fucking creepy and just makes you be like, you fucking know it was
definitely
you.
did it. Yeah, you're making yourself seem way worse.
This is from Mutz. He replies back to him, and he says, what do you think they did with the gun, assuming it was one or more hired hitmen? Because there is a point where V says that the mafia did this.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did.
But he says, I think they took it back to Wyoming with them and used it in other crimes in their home state. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And he said plenty of places to dispose of it in Wyoming or anywhere along the way. What was the Wyoming connection to the Sims family, if any? And this is what V's reply is. The 3 men from Wyoming who met with Mr. Sims at his house on Saturday. The police cleared them. Those records are sealed because of the dates on which the investigations took place. But I think they made an appointment to come back that night because they didn't get to talk to Helen Sims that day. They returned that night and tried to talk the Sims out of exposing the sex activities of the pastor. Things went wrong, and they reverted to tactics used to subdue, control, and enforce their will on the members of opposing gangs. How the fuck would he know any of this shit?
So he's just basically saying, yeah, I definitely did it. I'm just making shit up at this point.
None of this shit makes any sense at all, unless there is some sort of records and shit of this, but I'm pretty sure it would have been brought up somewhere. How would he know? Yeah. But yeah, so that is everything we have on this case. What are your guys' thoughts or theories on what happened?
That guy did it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because they have been clear. I mean, they've never actually been named actual, like, suspects. They've never been arrested or anything like that. But it's just like, between him and the girl, it's so fucking weird. The fact that she dreamt all this happened, but is getting everything right.
In the fact that somebody with, I mean, this might not be him online. It might not be. I mean, there's a great chance it isn't. But with his exact name is online, still defending it years later. Just shut up about it then. Just shut up.
Yeah, because this is from a year ago.
Yeah.
The stuff I just read. And the murders were in 66.
Yeah, just fucking shut up then. Just shut the hell up.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Out of the suspects we talked about, the last 2 obviously make the most sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They could just be, they came from bad backgrounds. They could just really be mentally unstable and just fucked up. Or they could have done it.
But I don't know, because, I mean, the stuff this guy's saying, like, as stupid as it is, I mean, the way you just read it, it sounds like he's, the way that he speaks is smart. He's just stupid in the things that he says.
It like doesn't make sense. What happened to the murder weapon? Oh, the guys took it back to Wyoming with them. Like, what? Where the fuck did you get that? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like sounds like a well written schizophrenic or some shit. I don't know, but I don't know. It sounds like it's either him or it was like some drifter, but why not rob them?
But the thing is like he was seen watching the girl.
Yeah.
And she obviously got the worst of it.
Was that like confirmed? Did police say that they like saw him watching the girl and stuff like that, or
there was a witness, and then C also said that was true.
So yeah, she
said that he had a fascination with her and young girls.
So it really seems like it was probably him.
What are your thoughts on this, Spence?
I think it was B and C, or alternatively, because they were all wearing blindfolds. I think actually in that particular area, the movie Bird Box came true.
That would suck, dude.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so this is another fucked up one. I mean, there's really no happy ending or good way to end it. It's just sad and extremely fucked up. So,
well, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate all of you listeners. You are why we do this, and we love you all. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah.
Friendster?
Not anymore.
MySpace? You can find us on some of those websites. Also, you can check us out on patreon.com. For $1 a month, you will get access to all of our bonus content, all of the extra episodes, secret episodes we make. Do we talk about Illuminati shit? Do we fucking reveal like where Elvis is actually living right now?
We might.
You'll have to give us $1 to find out, is what it boils down to. And another way you can support us, leave us a review wherever you like to consume podcasts, especially on iTunes. We're trying to get into the top 200 comedy podcasts on the iTunes list, if at all possible. And actually, India made that happen already.
Yeah, thank you, India. We are currently not on any charts at all.
Yeah.
I did notice the more time goes on, the more I realize that this is never going to happen. I did see for like a day, we were like number 700 and some in the U.S. comedy charts.
Yeah.
And then instantly we dropped to like 1,400 and then we're just not on there again.
Wow.
It's fucking tough.
Yeah, we're awesome.
Yeah. So, listeners, come on. We need some more reviews. Cough them up. We give you podcasts, you give us reviews. That's how this works.
I really don't understand the algorithm of iTunes, and I honestly don't even know how any of that shit works. And already, I just want to say a special thank you to everyone out there that has already given us a review or signed up for our Patreon or just reached out to us on social media in any way. We love hearing from you. It really means a lot to us when people send us stuff, and it's really cool. You guys are really fun. You're a cool group of listeners. A lot of you guys are just as fucked up as we are, so that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't left us a review yet, it would really help us out. Like we said, we want to try and crack the top comedy charts on iTunes for the U.S. I doubt it'll ever happen. It's incredibly hard, but if it did, that would be super cool. That'd be awesome. So thank you to everyone that's been sharing the podcast and telling your friends about it. Keep that up. It's super cool. And for the people that have recently signed up for Patreon this month, I'm going to be sending out another thing of stickers soon. So if you haven't got any yet, I think there's a couple of you still. I'll be mailing those out. And sorry there was no Patreon episode last week. Our episode was a little over 2 hours, our normal one, so we ran out of time. So we'll make it up to you. Hopefully I can post the R. Kelly video. I posted the audio to it, but hopefully I can put the video up on like Vimeo or something, and maybe it won't get taken down. I don't know. Because it instantly got pulled from YouTube. So.
I'd imagine.
Man.
Yeah, I think that's everything from me. Primo?
So, yeah, there's something that one of our reviews said. It started with nothing is off limits. And I like that because in a lot of our normal episodes, there's a lot of things that are kind of off limits that Kev takes off. We still say some pretty fucked up things, but
for the love of God, Andrew is always he's not actually not here.
Yeah,
everything he says I have to cut out.
It's just all the N-word.
It's always the N-word, subliminal messages where I don't even hear it at first, and then I'll just start hearing the N-word in my head.
It's messed up. But so the fact that you guys think that nothing's off limits, if you do sign up for the Patreon, we do allow a little bit more than what we allow in the normal episodes. So if you think that there's nothing off limits for the normal episodes, listen to the fucking Patreon. It gets a little worse.
Yeah, because you know how like PG-13 you're allowed one F word?
Yeah.
Well, Patreon $1 means we're allowed one N word.
Come on, Andrew.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, we love you guys even if you don't. But you fucking do it. It's $1.
I hope Andrew somehow becomes like the greatest artist in the world, and in every painting, everything he does, somehow there's a little tribute to Tub Girl.
Oh my god.
All right,
I would pay money if this would happen for sure.
Since we don't have a Toof for Andrew, there will be no words of wisdom this week, which just means that next time Toof does it, it's got to be extra good. By the way, we got multiple messages from people that are like, Toof just ruined baked beans for me because of the words of wisdom last week. They're like, he fucking just ruined baked beans. So
good.
It was so funny though.
Yeah.
But alrighty, thank you everyone for listening. Be good.
Stay safe.
And laugh at dark stuff.
#Wildman.
#WildWomen.
Yeah, I like that.
Dude, I love how we're always like, whoa, where the fuck that come from? Taco Bell cheddar fries.
Yeah, and for Heather, #WildMom.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got a #Wildman from Queens, #Wildman Australian Daniel.
I love him.
Daniel, man.
Daniel, you sexy bitch.
He's so much cooler than any of us.
He is fucking Daniel. I don't know what we did to deserve you, dude.
Like, actually, we started talking about this. My cat came over here, so like he does get all the pussy.
I don't know how big Australia is. It can't be that big. So if you do see Bindi Irwin, yeah,
or Hugh Jackman,
that girl is thick and cute, and I like that. So go ahead and tell her to listen to the podcast. Also, thank you to Wildman from Queens. We've been quoting heavyweights back and forth nonstop, and I really, every time this week I sat down to do research, I kept looking up fucking come here, you devil log. But Heavyweights is such a good fucking movie, dude.
It's a fucking amazing movie. It really is.
#Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
I think that's it for this.
Yeah, I think so.
Now it's time for the real podcast.
This is getting cut out, but God, I think you fucked up on that one. Took the wrong LFO guy.
Wrong kid died.
The wrong kid died.
This is firefighter Raphael Porriette for Firehouse Subs. Introducing new Firehouse Pairs. Pair your favorite small sub with a signature side, like the awesome 5-cheese mac and cheese. And remember, a portion of every purchase at Firehouse Subs goes towards helping first responders. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Participating locations only. Firehouse Subs will donate a minimum of $1 million in 2019 to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation by donating 0.11% of every purchase.
It's time to break the cycle of waste and mess. Time to stop accepting that the way things have been done are the way they should be done. Control-Alt-Delete everything you thought you knew about how to period. We're flipping the script, we're throwing out the book, we're challenging the period status quo. The Diva Cup is eco-friendly, reusable, and offers up to 12 hours leak-free protection. So what are you waiting for? Join the inner revolution with the Diva Cup. The Diva Cup is used for menstrual flow only. Always read and follow the user guide.